You go. You got the. Hello, everyone, and I'm very, very excited to introduce you to Sonja K. She only just recently came into my life, but there was something so beautiful and powerful that I thought, nah, I must talk to her and have a sacred conversation with her. And look at all her flowers. Hi, Sonja, welcome here. Sonja is a personal confidant, and I'm going to allow her to talk about that herself and put it into her own words, because we've had a great conversation about what she does and what's important for her clients is to know thyself, is to be uniquely you. She worked through the bits of astrology. I'm going to hand over for now, Sonja, to get started, and then we'll just start going back and forth and seeing how it goes. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Chantal, for this opportunity. It's very gracious of you, and I really, I am very grateful. Thank you. About myself, well, it's been a big journey, and I think we initially met and talked about aging, and I have to say that it's a beautiful thing to know that as you're aging, you actually do become some more wisdom comes to you, and I think life experiences are very important. When we're going through life, we do go through different phases, as we're all well aware. And some of them can be absolutely beautiful, and you think you're reaching your goals, and that's, you know, I've got big ideas and big plans. And then something happens. So it could be illness, could be a bankruptcy. That was my case. And so I realized, like, gosh, life isn't what you think it is or how it is in your mind. And so to be able to open up, I think, to yourself and learn more about yourself. So circumstances will open new doorways, and it's often through grief. It's often through things that you'd not expect would affect you in any way. But however, it takes you under, and then that's a time of reflection, looking at yourself, because there is nobody else to look at when things happen except yourself. And so that was my case. I felt like, wow, I would never have predicted that. I thought my life was going this way. It would look like this. And what is it, all this? I'm not feeling fulfilled by my life, but I don't even know what that means. And so then the real journey begins, the real journey of self, and exploring, well, what is it about myself that I'm unhappy with? You know, like I would have a beautiful home, beautiful family, beautiful, everything beautiful. But inside, I was unhappy. And there was choices that I made, and I go, I just don't like this. But I didn't know what I did like. So I felt that to learn about myself and investigate and follow my inner urging, this was a good way to go. So virtually that's what I did, and I just followed that path. I always say to people, I followed a piece of string, but I never knew where the string was going to take me. But I really trusted that it would go somewhere, because I was asking the question in myself, well, what am I looking for? Who could help me? Yeah, where can I go? Should I go over here? And I would get this big push behind me, like, yeah, just go and do it. Just go and do it, because that's like something that you wouldn't normally do, but I'm going to give it a go. So whether it was a course, whether it was healing, it didn't matter what it was, that if something inside me said, out of curiosity, you should just give that a go. And so I had to learn. I had to keep on learning to trust my gut, trust in myself. And what would come through then, I could actually receive a lot more information, because I opened myself up to asking, well, what is it I'm looking for? Because I'm not really sure. And I suppose that led me into astrology, especially when I was really in a very difficult places. I had this thought in my head, I should contact an astrologer right now, because I can't make sense of any of this. Sure enough, they could pinpoint on my chart, bang, that is what's happening to you. And I'd just go like, wow, I knew it was pretty big, but I didn't realize it was that big. And so that would help me a lot on my journey to keep going. Because in a lot of cases, it's easy to give up. It's easy to become the victim. It's easy. Those are all easy things to do. So it's like finding strength through where you feel really weak. And so it takes a lot of courage. I understand that a lot. And so when I meet with people, I understand the journey, because it's not easy at times, especially if you've got no money, you don't know what way is up, you don't know what you're going to do, you're so low, you're so depressed. One of the things I can say to you is find positive people. Don't find people that are going to be, find somebody that can elevate you, can actually make you feel like the sun's shining again, because it brings through that joy in yourself again, and you feel excited by your life. So yeah, so along I go. I've been through many businesses, and I work a lot with business people that are starting, like entrepreneurs, because I see these young ones. They're so gutsy, and they'll do a lot more things than I'll do. I'm not good on social media or anything like that. I just like to show up. I'm a person that shows up. If it feels right, I'll go there and I'll show up, and I'll be my true self, and share myself with people. Whatever, I never know what's going to happen. However, these young ones, they're great, because they've got more that they want to share with people, and they're more in touch with purpose and what they want to deliver. And they need a lot of support these days, because it's really important. And that's what I feel, like women, the older women, we've been through a lot. We understand, and we can help them with a lot of techniques, remedies, processes, which actually helps them feel calm and supported. It's not somebody telling them how many goals they need. They've already got a lot of goals in their head already. It's more about the journey of enjoying life, getting the balance, which everybody talks about, looking after yourself, putting yourself as number one. And that's hard for women particularly. They're always down, I call it the Q theory. Where are you in the Q theory? Are you up the front, or are you way down the back, and the dog's in front of you, and the school's in front of you, and the PTA's in front of you? So that's a question I often ask people, especially women. Where are you in the queue? And they go, what? I couldn't possibly put myself up the front. Well, that's the best place to be.
And I like hearing that, because two things that come to mind as you're saying that, which is what I believe, what I love that you're doing, particularly with younger people. I'm putting my take in here as well. It's giving them, as you said, support and strategies, because when they have those in place, when something, or if something happens that throws them off course, they already have it in place. Because I think that's what a lot of us miss. We don't have that in place. And I know in business, when they say set goals and see yourself in 5-10 years, they don't calculate, because you can't. Well, what if something derails you? Like you said, you went bankrupt. For me, it was first my late father's unexpected death, and then my car accident. So those are not, you can't, then how do you handle that? And then suddenly, as you said, no one's around, or people are not trained to support you either, coaches and things like that, so I like what you're saying here, and that's really supporting. And so coming back to, if you feel comfortable with this, the bankruptcy, my first word came from me was shame. How do you handle
this? It was terrible. Because I was involved with a group of people. We had a business, and it was the business that went broke. But because we were guarantors with our beautiful new home and properties and things like that, well, the bank said, well, you have to pay. So that's what you have to do. So I felt like I was a refugee. And in fact, I went and spoke to a woman who was highly successful in New Zealand, because that's where I come from, because she was a refugee who came to New Zealand and built herself an amazing design, one of the top designers in fashion in New Zealand. And I said to it was Min Ta, and I said, Min, what is it like to be a refugee? Because that's what I feel like. And she says, oh, I'll tell you my story. And she says, but don't worry, you will come through, because if you just keep going with the journey, you don't know what's going to turn up or whatever. And she gave me some insight, because she was highly successful in New Zealand. But and that refugee thing stayed with me, and I thought, oh, I know what this feels like. It's really awful, because when I was with my ex-husband, we were joined at the hip. We did everything together. And so when that failed, I said, look, I really need to find myself. I have no idea who I am. And so that's where the journey began, because of it was enormously I was enormously affected by it in a lot of ways. And even my mother, when I said to her, oh, I've got no money, and then she goes, don't come near me. She didn't want to know, because really that was her issue. It was her issue that she had when I was conceived with her. I realize that now.
And exactly, and that's that realization now. And thank you for being so open, because it's also showing listeners, and particularly anyone, that that's how fast it can change. And then, like you said, the response is like, look at your mother, even though you can look back now and says actually it was more her than you. But that doesn't mean it didn't hurt you at the time, does it?
Oh, it was terrible. Yes, because she was very afraid. Like, she built her life up from being a peasant from another country, and she didn't want to know anything about that life of hers. And so she sort of safeguarded herself. And you have to understand, she was born in the 1920s. So, you know, but, as you understand, stories run in our cellular memory. And so I didn't know that was there, but it was something that I had to face, in myself. Yeah.
And it is, and it's amazing what you do find in the process. But initially, and I'm going to sort of say something, I'd like you to then go from there. I know initially, like when I first had those two big traumatic experiences, it felt so dark, lost, confusing. You're never going to get out.
Absolutely.
And you feel like you're the only one, and a complete failure and all that. So again, it's about showing how you, as you said, you found the thread, or that's what you said to me earlier. And, you to become this personal confidant. Would you like to just weave us through that story from that darkness to where, look at the lightness and what you're wearing and the beautiful flowers behind you. There's joy now, you know?
Yeah, so for me, life had to have a dramatic change. And I suppose I had to spend a lot of time with myself, and a lot for me has been my guidance as well, and trusting and listening to that. So that takes time out. It wasn't about the busy world of being a mother and working in businesses and things. So the time out was really important. However, at that time, I also met my current partner, and he just said, well, where do you want to live? You can live anywhere you like in the world. And I said, oh, I want to go to Perth. I love Perth. I've always wanted to go there. And he goes, well, why don't we just go there? And it was like a fresh start. You can reinvent yourself. You can reestablish who you are. So for me, it was like coming here. Nobody knew me. I had an opportunity to start afresh. And I think that's sometimes really good when you've had a big emotional experiences in your life. It is good to just take yourself out of it rather than staying there, and test yourself in new waters. And what would you do? So fortunately, when I came here, I still kept on going with my own spiritual growth and classes and things like that I was highly interested in. But I also found somebody said to me, an art teacher said, oh, why don't you go and have a look at this music? I think this is why you've come to live in Perth. I go, oh, okay, I'm open to suggestions. And it was true. I walked into this presentation of this lady showing this methodology, and I'll say what it is because I highly think it's the most amazing thing. It's called Simply Music, simplymusic.com. And I sat in that presentation, and I turned to my partner. I said, I've just had an epiphany. I'm going to be teaching this in 6 months. And he goes, oh, yes, okay. And I did the training within a short time. And for 16 years, I've taught people how to play immediately. They walk into my studio. I have a lovely baby grand piano there now. And I go, I'm so pleased you know nothing about music, because in half an hour, you're going to know every key on the piano, and you're going to be able to play with both hands a song. And then next week, I'm going to teach you the blues. And then the next week, I'm going to teach you Ode to Joy. And I would just see their faces just like, oh, this is what I've always dreamed of. And I go, it is. The first song is called Dreams Come True. So yes. So in that, I worked with people, but all the time people would bring their stories of what was happening in their lives, and I would always be supporting people and how you're going or what's happening, and working with a lot of the modalities that I learned about. And then I kind of went, oh, okay, this is lovely. But then all of a sudden, as your guidance will say, well, you can shut that door now. And I'm going, what? Shut the door? I've been doing it. And it's like, no, you've got other work we want you to do. And so I said, well, what is it? And they said, well, what you do naturally, you're going to do it as a business. And I went, ooh, okay. And I said, well, what will I call it? And it certainly wasn't along what other people talk about as being a coach in a business, because I'm not going to teach people anything. I'm just going to be, I have to tell you this story. It's funny. Middle of the night, get woken up, go to your computer, switch it on, write the word confidant. Now put personal in front of it.
Love it.
So I think that's how you get information. You listen and you go, oh, that's interesting.
I like that, because you not only listen, but you acted on it. That's what I've found over the years. And this is what I'm loving when we talked about beforehand. So everyone, when we were talking, know thyself. Until we know, until we know ourselves, it's a lifelong journey, and that's what you're saying and sharing. And that's, you listened, you heard it, you got up, you acted on it, and look where you are. This is to give women or people hope to know they can too.
Yeah, like there's so much information being downloaded. However, you've got to be prepared to like step up to the plate and stop being so busy and take time out, and don't feel like it's so good to go. This picture behind me is up in Kings Park, just to go around and look at nature, just to go down to the water, just to whatever it is, and take that time out, because then you can really receive great information that seems like exciting, and then people like to share it with somebody, and that's where the personal confidant came in. They want to share it.
I love it.
And they want to get more in touch with their guidance, not less. They go, and so it's all the time like clearing that, so they hear more and put it into business practice. Because let's face it, whether we like it or not, money, that's what we have to earn. And so so that's how I came back to that.
I love it. And I loved how it weaved all together. I was thinking, I bet that was Kings Park. So for those of you who don't live in Perth, we've got a beautiful natural park in the middle of the city here, and in spring it comes out in all these most amazing blooms. It's just so, and it overlooks the river and the city. And this is coming back to nature, appreciating nature, isn't it? And bringing that in. And I love the confidant, because what you're saying, or what I'm hearing is, so again, is come to me, you can talk to me and not feel judged, you feel accepted, and we can explore anything. And no matter how mad hatter it is. I had my business mentor, he's died now, unfortunately, but he was older, and he used to just let me just rip. And then some of it worked, some of it didn't work, some of it he just helped me, but he listened without judgment.
And I have a very special partner too, and he was able to, over a number of years, we have these techniques that I can run on people, which they don't even need to know what it is, but it immediately shifts their perspective, because life is all about our perspective, how we see everything. So to have your perspective and you see it a certain way immediately shifts, so you can move on. And it's not to say that that story you were telling me was true or whatever. It's just something that you were talking about, and having a shift in it allows you to keep moving forward in harmony, flow. People are getting along, because people get a lot of upset by what's said or opinions or whatever. So we don't need to hold on to those. We need to like let it go, so we keep going. And I always call those things that people hold on to distractions to your path in life. You're here. You are already encoded. I can see that when I do a astrology chart with you, that you already have the star codes in you for greatness. It's there. It's written. And now it's time for those star codes to come forward, particularly in these times. We've moved into the Aquarian times. And so this is a shift in our consciousness, which we are all feeling. We're not alone. We are shifting. And a lot of things are breaking down in our universe. We're seeing it daily with inflation, money, flooding. So we are being really accelerated at this time to make this transformation, to change, to move forward. We are in a very powerful transition time. And we need to realize, like, well, I'm part of this. I'm part of something better happening for the planet. I've got my uniqueness that I can add to this.
And that's what I love, because I wrote here, know thyself, share wisdom, uniqueness, trust part of self. That is that knowing, that understanding. But you need to, what did you call it? Clear the, well, I'm calling it clear the debris, but clear the pathway.
Yeah, definitely.
To get there.
Yeah.
And I really like that. And you can reinvent it yourself. And before we got on again, Sonja asked me my what I am, and I said Capricorn, and quickly bang, 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 bang. And it's true. I am earthy, and I'm becoming more like that as I get older. Love earth. Then responsible, practical, put process into place, and wisdom. And I have all that. However, I did lose that for a while due to the experiences that I had. And what I'm hearing is that what you could do is bring, like, someone like myself back on track as well, you know, to remind us to remind us.
Yeah. I always talk a lot about vibration to people as well. So when you get really low, you go into a vortex and it's dark and it's terrible. However, you know, if you can lift your vibration, and it's like your whole auric field, your energy field. You know how you like being around people that are light, and they, you know, they're not talking about their stories and how bad it is or whatever. And you just can flow more. You just feel inspired. And I think it's important that we come together and align with people that are wanting the same feeling and exuberance. It's important for us to recognize where that energy is not for us, and to separate from us. And even though they might be family or close ones, if it is not good for your energy, you have to start making your way out of that, because it will suck you back into the vortex, I call it.
Love it. And I think, because we're coming sort of to the close, I love it, inspiring, and you most certainly do that. And today, just in these last 25 minutes or so, has been truly inspirational, and I really appreciate it, you coming on and sharing all that, because we need to talk, we need to share wisdom. Doesn't matter how old we are. I love that. As we come to the close, what would you like to say to anyone who's listening? What words of your wisdom, your uniqueness would you like to share?
Well, really take the time out for yourself, because this is a busy world now, and so many people are influencing us all the time, right? So, yeah, it's nice to put your nose here and there and everywhere, but really just taking time for yourself, to be with yourself, whether you meditate, whether you just take your dog for a walk, be in that moment and love it. Be so grateful, because we're not a third world country here in Australia. We're amongst we are the 1% wealthiest people in the world, but people here wouldn't think it, because if we compare it to other countries. So in having appreciation and actually understanding that that's the greatest gift we can give ourselves, we've succeeded in moving ourselves forward in our lives, and creating a harmonious I suppose energy about ourselves is really important for other people. That's the gift we give other people.
Oh, what a beautiful way to finish, that harmonious harmony. I love that. Thank you so much. So Sonja, just how can people find you? And I will put her Sonja's links into the description. So where can people find you, Sonja?
I've got a website that's just called personalconfidant.com. And I have only Facebook. As I say, I'm not a social media person as such. And that's just Sonja with a J, K, Sonja K. So you can direct message me or, make contact. That's fine. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'll do that. So thank you so much, Sonja. Thank you to anyone who's listening. Leave comments, let us know, reach out. We're more than happy to keep the conversation going and sharing. Thank you again, Sonja.
You're welcome.